possible for two spirits to be in the same place, but be totally unaware of one another.
Here, in the desolate shadows, something truly sinister has been stirring, turning a once peaceful family home into an absolute nightmare.
This monk was allegedly hanged for killing a woman. He raped and murdered a woman, right?
Yes, yeah,
but
a young girl.
A young girl.
Now, picture this. Screams echoing through the night, chilling you to the bone, and unseen hands gripping your throat and leaving behind deep bruises. This is more terrifying than even your worst nightmare. Get ready to be caught up in a web of horror, where even something as innocent as a grandfather clock can become a weapon, hurling itself down the stairs as if it had a mind of its own. And then there's the monk. Yeah, you heard me right. A haunting figure lurking over your bed while you sleep, casting a shadow that will make your blood run cold. There's a claim that this spirit grabbed the daughter by the neck and drug her up the stairs. And when she was found, like, her hair was standing on end and actual marks were left in her neck. This is no bedtime story. This is the real deal. A chilling tale that'll make you question what's lurking in the shadows of your own home. If you're brave enough, dive into this chilling narrative. If you dare. But before we start, make sure you head over to my Patreon at Jack Osbourne, become a member of my community. There's extra footage from the episode, there's behind the scenes pictures, we're gonna be dropping merch, and there's a whole bunch more that we're gonna be rolling out over the next few months. Like clip submissions, that's when you send in your paranormal evidence and we review it. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, and now I present the Black Monk of Pontefract. Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm Jack Osbourne.
And I'm Cindy Kaza.
So we're going to dive into a very compelling case. Another case that actually a movie has been made out of.
Yes.
This is the Black Monk of Pontefract. So that's Pontefract in England. Now, you might ask, why are we discussing this case? Well, I think for me, because it's an ongoing case. A guy by the name of Bill Bungay purchased the property after he produced a movie about the incidents that occurred in the house. So the movie was called When the Lights Went Out, and after production, the house came up for sale. He then bought the house because he said it was an amazing promotional opportunity that he just couldn't, let go by. He bought the house, and during the release of the film, he used the property as a place to screen the film to like competition winners and stuff. Mm-hmm. Kind of a cool thing to do, actually.
Yeah, until it's not cool anymore. You start, getting haunted yourself.
Well, to that point, he himself was a skeptic.
Right.
He bought the property, started having crazy things happen, and now he has a committed blog that documents all the stuff that continues to happen in the house. Mm-hmm. And so far, there's been 288 documented events since he has taken ownership of the house.
I was actually supposed to go investigate this place a couple of years ago. And then I had my brother died and I couldn't go. I had to cancel it. And I'm like, well, maybe my brother was protecting me. He's like, don't go there.
Oh, really?
I mean, I don't believe in coincidences.
Yeah. So you think there was a reason, like it was a protective reason why?
Maybe. I mean, look, this case is really dark. I think it's a lot darker than a lot of the cases that I've been a part of. That's my feeling, and especially like reviewing the facts. So I do think that there's divine intervention, protection, all that stuff. I don't think I was meant to go there.
Interesting. The thing that jumps out to me about this case and is the whole Black Monk of it. What makes this haunting so terrifying is it's taken over the imagination of seemingly everyone that investigates it. There's like an obsession that comes of it.
Right.
So much so they made a movie.
I mean, you hear about that where people go to a location and then suddenly they can't get it out of their minds and they keep replaying it. They keep going back. They become obsessed with it. And I think that locations like this have a way of kind of getting into your psyche and I mean, it's not possession, right? But it's obsession. And that's dangerous because then you want to keep going into that energy. So
Well, do you want to dive into some of the facts of this case?
let's do it.
Because there is a lot. And the history of this place spans 1,000 years. Which is...
We've got a lot of facts.
Yeah, which is it's what I love about European investigations, is that some of these places are so fucking old that it just, if you primarily investigate in North America, you're dealing with something maybe 150 years old, 200 if you're somewhere on the East Coast.
Yeah. Just to add on to this topic, it's challenging as a psychic medium to go into really old locations because of all of the timelines that you could be picking up on. So for any investigation that I go to, especially an old building or, piece of land, I always set the intention, like, please let me receive what I need for this case. Right? And the more history, the more timelines, the more imprinting, and everything can start to bleed together, and you can have kind of a mess.
Yeah, that's wild. Do you think, these timelines that these spirits are in, are they aware of each other, or do you think it's kind of like they're just on different floors and they have no idea that they're existing in the same, theoretically occupying the same space, but not existing in the same...
Yeah. Level, layer, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to, right, because we say level, layer, time, very different. They're very, that concept is very different on the other side. And I've experienced in investigations 2 spirits that weren't aware of one another.
Yeah.
But they were in the same location. I've done investigations where a mother was looking for her child. They were both in the house but couldn't find one another. What does that mean, right? It is possible for 2 spirits to be in the same place but be totally unaware of one another.
Stuff to pull your hair out over.
I mean, it's a lot to think about.
It is. It really is. Yeah. It gets very... Like, once you get past the whole, it's a black monk... Like, once you get past that and you get into, like, the deeper notion of what this could be, it's kind of endless.
It's endless. It's a rabbit hole. I go to the rabbit hole. I go into the rabbit hole a lot. It's kind of fun, but I have to pull myself out because you can get lost in there.
Yeah. All right, let's break down some of the facts of this place. In August 1966, Jean and Joe Pritchard bought the house to live in with their 2 teenage children, Philip and Diane, and Jean's mother, Sarah. After incidents became more and more frequent, paranormal researchers, were brought in to research if there were any monks who had lived in the area in the past. And the land across the street from this location actually used to be a gallows, a public gallows, and so they would do executions there. There is also evidence of a former monastery which existed from 1090 to 1539. Now, the kind of monastery it was, which I'd never heard of this, it's called a Cluniac Reform, and also known. They were Benedictine
monks?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was also called the Benedictine Reform. I guess the origins are in France. And it kind of makes sense to 1539 because I'm just going to do a quick bit of armchair history real quick. Check this out. It ended in 1539, the monastery, during Henry VIII's reign.
Oh!
Because Henry VIII came in, cut off all ties with any other form of Christianity. It was Church of England, cut off ties to the Roman Catholic Church, everything. So he would, I guess, to my knowledge, he ordered the demolition and to shut down any abbeys or monasteries that weren't Protestant Church of England. Yeah. Now, the Pritchards were unable to actually put up with the paranormal stuff that was going on, and they moved out a few years later. And then the house had numerous folks living in it. I believe the current owner, which is Bill Bungay, who's the producer of the film, he bought it off a woman who sold it very cheap.
Yeah, good for her. She's like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was funny, like I looked on his blog, and he does say that he's like, it was too cheap to turn down, which is kind of funny, actually, I think. All right, so here's some of the interesting details about this alleged black monk. In the 16th century, a monk was sentenced to death for the rape and murder of a young girl. The monk was hanged from the gallows located just across the street from what is now the Pritchard home.
This monk was allegedly hanged for killing a woman. He raped and murdered a woman, right?
Yes, yeah, a young girl.
A young girl. But this is not fact.
No.
Okay.
I just don't understand how a relatively peaceful home can all of a sudden become a nightmare realm for a murderous monk.
I agree. I mean, it seems like there had been activity in the home prior to this family moving in, right?
If someone was executed in this area that happened to be a monk in the 16th century, and all of a sudden then it just decided to haunt the house, like, well, you know, it's 19 whatever, like, let's go and fuck with this family now.
Yeah, there are many other factors involved in this case, and I want to point out that, and I know this part of the case and the history of the land, that there had been battle on the land as well, and a lot of people were killed on the land as well in war. So we have tons of psychic imprinting.
Yeah.
Which is significant. I mean, it's an important part of this case.
I want to talk about the monk of it all.
Okay.
I've done a few investigations in England, not a huge amount. Of the investigations I've done, at least 2 or 3 of them had a black monk. For me, in England, a black monk is like the catch-all for what we call here a shadow figure.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I never know what to make of it when they're like, oh, there's a black monk. I was like, well, how do you know he's a fucking monk? If it's all black and you can't make out detail, how do you know those are fucking monk robes?
It's a really good question.
And he's not just a cloaked, weird-looking identity.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. And it's important to point out that spirits can appear, you know, any way they kind of want to appear.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but there are some that are really powerful, especially if we're talking about demons, right? We know that they can appear in many different ways, but I also think, you know, spirits that aren't demonic can do the same thing.
Can't elementals as well?
Elementals is another important piece where, I mean, elementals are really interesting and they're really, really powerful. So there are a lot of different, I don't know, this could be a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happens sometimes is people really want to understand what's happening to them. And so they see a shadow figure or they see this black cloak and they're like, it has to be a monk because they want to know what it is. It makes it easier to digest.
Yeah.
And in doing that, we sometimes overlook all the other possibilities, you know?
Yeah. Hey everyone, it's Jack Osbourne here. And Ghosts and Grit is sponsored by Blue Chew. All right. Are you ready to talk about something that sometimes can be a little hard to talk about? You guessed it, sex. Let me make it a little easier for you with Blue Chew. Blue Chew is a service delivering chewable tablets with the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, and you can take them anytime, day or night. You sign up at bluechew.com, you chat with a licensed medical provider, and once approved, you'll receive a delivery in a couple days. Boom, it's that simple. And then things get exciting. When that brown envelope turns up, oh, it's on. So it really is that easy. Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at bluechew.com. Chew it and do it. We've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew for free when you use our promo code GHOSTS at the checkout and just pay $5 in shipping. That's it. 5 simple buckaroos. That's bluechew.com, promo code GHOSTS to receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more important details and safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Hey everyone, it's Jack Osbourne. It's time for my favorite sponsor, Cozy Earth. Look, Mother's Day is right around the corner, which means it's time to find the perfect gift. Look no further, because we got Cozy Earth for you. There's nothing better than Cozy Earth bedding. I could go on and on about how much my family and I absolutely love Cozy Earth. Cozy Earth is unbelievably soft and it's temperature regulated. I sleep in them every night. I'm going to be getting my wife a new set of pajamas and maybe some new sheets for Mother's Day, so do the same. She'll love you forever. This Mother's Day, treat mom to the luxury she deserves with cozy earth bedding and sleepwear, and prioritize her self-care and sleep health. She deserves it. Don't forget to use my promo code GHOSTS at the checkout for 35% off at cozyearth.com. After placing your order, please select podcast in the survey and then select my show in the drop-down menu that follows. Have a good one. All right, let's dive into some of these crazy events that happened. All right, so the first experience that was documented was while the parents were away. Philip and his grandmother were the ones that witnessed it. And it was very strange. It was like a fine layer of chalk was falling from the ceiling. And then these small pools of water appeared without any explanation on the floor. I have actually had that happen to me once.
Which investigation?
It wasn't an investigation.
Oh, what was it?
It happened in my bedroom when I was a kid. I woke up in the morning and there was a perfectly round pool of water at the end of my bed. It had not been raining. There were no leaks. It was not near an exterior wall. It was like in the center of the bedroom. And I had not spilled water. A dog had not pissed. Could not for the life of me figure out where the fuck did this perfect round pool of water appear from in the middle of my bedroom.
It's wild.
Isn't that weird?
I don't know. I mean, look, there are accounts of things like this happening quite often, right? So in this particular case, from what I understand, there was a well underneath the house, or people believe there was a well underneath the house. So the way that I would look at this as a psychic medium is, oh, well, we're seeing this water just appearing out of nowhere to show us that we need to look underneath the house for water, or we need to look for a water source. I believe everything is evidence. Everything is trying to tell us something, right? The account of this, I don't know, what is it? It looked like chalk. It wasn't necessarily chalk, but it was this white, powdery substance that was floating in the air. I think that they were saying that their heads were above the layer and that they could look down and see it, but it wasn't actually falling from the ceiling. It was just there. So what is that? What is that showing us?
Yeah. So some of the darker stuff that is actually really fucking creepy. An apparition of a black monk appeared hovering over, essentially hanging over the bed while someone slept. And they woke up, saw this thing. Everyone, freaked out. There's a lot of activity with the lights flickering on and off. Heavy plants would fall down the stairs. There was a case of a very large grandfather clock getting thrown down the stairs.
I mean, that's crazy. That takes a lot of force. That takes a significant amount of force to push a grandfather clock down the stairs. Assuming that it's not already dangling on the edge of the stairs, which it wasn't.
Even as a living human in the three-dimensional world we live in, I would have a hard time throwing a grandfather clock down the stairs. The family would come home and find furniture overturned without any explanation, and they would hear heavy breathing from an unseen force. Family pictures were seemingly slashed, and the Pritchards later spoke of some deathly smells appearing. That's how they described it. So I can only imagine they meant like the smell of like decomposition or something.
Yeah, deathly smells is a very specific way of describing it.
Yes. Yeah, and that's a smell you don't forget.
That's really scary stuff, right? A lot of people that have encountered demonic forces have claimed to experience really foul odors, smells, definitely, poltergeist activity or doors slamming, pictures being slashed. Really scary. That feels very targeted, right? Yeah. So something was definitely after this family, it feels like. And I think it's important to acknowledge that the activity wasn't as strong with the family before this one. So what is it about this family that drew this sort of activity in?
Sure.
I would have to be there. Like this is one case that I really want to investigate this place, even though it's like I avoided it the first time. I really feel like it would be an interesting one to investigate because so many of these accounts of like the water and the dust and all of the poltergeist activity and the land. I would want to go to the land and see what I pick up on first.
Yeah.
That would be the first place I would go. Because it's hard for me as a medium. Sure, I can project myself to the location and try to tap into it, but until I'm actually there, it's hard to really know because I want to touch the walls and do psychometry and go to the land and really feel into the location. But I don't necessarily feel that this case is demonic.
Interesting. It's like intuitively you're kind of...
Intuitively, I don't feel it's demonic necessarily.
This activity was so intense, as I said earlier, they ended up bailing a few years after owning this property. Mm-hmm. In that time window, within 2 years, this experience went from just being, oh, there's a ghost, oh, it's moving stuff. It jumped the shark, and this thing started physically attacking the daughter. There's a claim that this spirit grabbed the daughter by the neck and drug her up the stairs. And when she was found, like, her hair was standing on end and actual marks were left in her neck. Mm-hmm. I mean, can you imagine witnessing a young girl being dragged up the stairs by an unseen force clutching her neck, and then when you locate this person, their hair is standing on end and they've got bruises around their neck?
No, it sounds terrible. It's really scary. It's like your worst nightmare as a parent.
Yeah. Be horrible. Mm-hmm. And then to have that, being the one that experiencing that, you'd be like, what the fuck is going on? Mm-hmm. It just defies all logic. Mm-hmm. What entity could do that?
Something demonic could definitely do that, 100%. I think you could have a very, very powerful human entity that could potentially do that as well. Mixed with the PK energies, we have to talk about poltergeist, the poltergeist activity, because I believe that there has to be psychokinetic energy, which is energy that we emit, from ourselves as humans that can also impact a haunting. Mm. So for me, the perfect storm is a lot of this psychokinetic energy mixed with a really powerful entity, whether that be something demonic or a really, really pissed off, angry human spirit, and the psychic imprinting from the land, which we have. We have the battles that happened on the land. We have the gallows. We have tons of death. And if it's true that there was a well underneath the house, then we have the element part of it, of the water being a conduit. So you have all of these things. It's like a hotspot. It's a paranormal hotspot. Mm.
Would you say a portal?
Sure. I mean, look, when you have that much, death, and also thinking about battle and war and explosions, and it's like, I have a feeling that something probably cracked open at some point.
Yeah.
So I would say that there's a portal on that land, right around there. I found in all of the investigations that I've done, or in most of them, that even the most aggressive spirits that are the worst spirits that are harming people, they're scaring people, they're pushing people, they still want their story to be told. They want somebody to get it right. And who knows, maybe the monk actually didn't do what people were saying the monk did, and the monk is pissed because
they're accusing
are accusing him of something that he didn't do. I mean, that has another angle that we need to look at. Can you imagine this perpetuation of a story that actually isn't true, and there's no proof that this actually happened, and then you're like, stop saying that about me? Wouldn't you be pissed if somebody was saying you did that?
Oh God! Oh
right?
Yeah. You'd be the frustration. It's like it's the quintessential screaming at the top of your lungs and no one is hearing you. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's a little bit extreme to drag somebody up a flight of stairs by their hair and choke them.
Yeah,
that seems a bit much, right?
I didn't murder anyone, but I'm gonna try and murder you.
So I'm just throwing out all of the possibilities because I think people get so wrapped up in it's so aggressive, it must be a demon, and then they oftentimes forget the humanity. They forget, like, I'm actually dealing with the soul of somebody who was alive, who has his or her own pain, who has unfinished business. And my job as a medium is to be as much of an objective observer or somebody who can show up from a place of neutrality as possible, because I have to be able to hear all of it.
Well, to that point of trying to like communicate and figure out what this ghost wanted or what this black monk wanted, they ended up performing numerous exorcisms on the property, like legit brought in the Catholic Church. They tried everything to clear the space.
Right.
And it only seemed to upset the monk and caused more kind of violent reactions, which is interesting.
It's really interesting.
If it is haunted and there are demonic entities there, why do you think the exorcisms did not work?
Okay, so if we're dealing with something demonic and somebody went in to do an exorcism, maybe the exorcism was not done correctly. That's one idea. Maybe the family didn't really believe in God, or they didn't really have that kind of faith, right? Maybe you have to believe in it for it to work. Could be another thing. We could also be dealing with something that's not demonic. So you had somebody go in and perform an exorcism, so a specific prayer, and maybe, it's didn't work to remove all the spirits. Maybe we're dealing with something elemental. Maybe we're dealing with all of the above, because there's a portal there. That's my opinion. So you have multiple things happening in this home.
Yeah.
It's not one size fits all. I'm not the kind of medium who will say, I crossed that spirit into the light. And I'll tell you why. Because I really, really believe that the spirit has to be willing to move to another space or, move on. I can communicate with the spirit. I can ask the spirit, what do you want? Why are you here? What do you have to say for yourself? And try to have a conversation like I would with a person. But that doesn't mean that I can force a spirit to go anywhere. And I think that's an important thing for people to remember. There has to be a willingness.
Yeah.
That's my belief. And I think another thing to think about is, did the family actually believe an exorcism could work? Did they have faith? Were they believers, right? Because I also think you have to believe something can work for it to change too. And I think from what we, know from the facts is that the family would not name the spirit. They didn't want to give it any energy.
Well, they actually did end up naming it.
Oh.
They named
Fred.
him.
Oh, wait, was it Fred?
Fred.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Fred.
Yeah. So they ended up naming him Fred.
Yeah.
But the press liked to call him Mr. Nobody, which is interesting.
See, this is my thought on that. If you have a demon, right, people really believe don't name the demon because that gives it power. But if you have a spirit who wants his or her story to be told correctly and you refuse to listen and you're giving it like a fake name, that could piss it off even more. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, because he's like, fuck you. It's not my name.
Yeah. Still lying about me.
Yeah. It's interesting. If this place is a portal or a gateway or whatever, stuff could be coming and going.
Absolutely.
It's like a train station.
And you could have somebody come perform an exorcism. Maybe you're removing one piece, but if it's a portal and you have all this imprinting, something else can come right back in.
If you got a call that a giant grandfather clock had been thrown down a flight of stairs and then a girl had been drug up that same flight of stairs by her neck, and if you got a call to come investigate that location, would you?
Yes. And I would have on speed dial a demonologist number or somebody else's number, right? I'm not a demonologist.
Yeah.
But I would, because I think the family would need help. I just wonder if we're really dealing with something demonic at this location, why do people keep going there and investigating it? Like why would you do that?
I think it's because of movies and TV shows. People want to have that experience.
And then all of the paranormal investigations that continue to happen, people calling things in, setting up equipment. People don't want the spirits to leave. It's a money-making industry. So you know how many times I've heard people that, say they went to do a paranormal investigation and the owners of the house said, do not cleanse the house. Don't ask the spirits to leave. We don't want them to leave. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, ghost tourism is a thing.
people don't actually want the spirits to leave because the spirits are serving a purpose. They're making the homeowners money.
Yeah.
Then you have people opening up all these new portals or doing whatever they're doing, right? But there's another theory, maybe, is that you have something darker that can be controlling or manipulating other spirits into doing things.
Yeah.
So possibly, is it possible that there's something really dark, let's say demonic, for lack of a better term, that's manipulating other spirits that are in the house to do other things? I mean, I have to go there to see for myself. It's hard. There's a lot going on in that house.
If you were to spend one night alone at the location where the Black Monk of Pontefract resides, that house, what would you do?
Yeah, I mean, look, well, if I'm in the house, I'm in the house. My first mission would be really to go to the land. Like I think even before I spent a night in the house, I would go psychometrize the land to see what I feel.
What does psychometrize, what does that entail?
Oh yeah, so psychometry is when using psychometry means that I would go put my hand on the ground or even just set the intention to, feel the energy of the land coming through my feet, and then you allow whatever impressions come in, and that can tell you the history of the land. So like what happened, what's really going on. You might actually see tragedy, a particular time period that's letting you know what's fueling the haunting.
Yeah.
So I would want to know that first. And then I would go into the house and psychometrize the house too. You can touch the walls. You can touch the staircase. I would go to the staircase where a lot of the activity happens to see what's going on. Paranormal investigation is complicated as a psychic medium.
Yeah.
Because we have to be able to use a lot of tools in the tool belt. It's not just about communicating with spirits. That's one part of it. But we have to be able to understand the history of the location, which part of the history is driving the haunting, what is happening with people in the living that's making the haunting worse. And you have to put all of those pieces together to solve the puzzle.
Well, it really is. When you do it right, it really is an investigation.
Yeah.
Well, should we take a look at some of the evidence?
Sure.
Okay. So when I was researching this, I came across a bunch of images that were taken. The ones that we're looking at are the most compelling that I feel. This photo was taken by a ghost hunter named Pete Bolton in 2016 with credit to Bungay / Mercury Press. And it appears to show some kind of spirit in the mirror at the end of the hallway facing the staircase.
Yeah.
They say it's the Black Monk because the hands look like they're praying in front of whatever that is face. So can you see the hands almost like this in front of the face?
I mean, I have to say, this is a pretty great spirit photo. I just don't know that I'm seeing a monk, the Black Monk.
Yes.
Because I would assume it would show up in a black robe because that's how everybody sees it, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's correct. Now, there are photos of that. So this photo was taken by a ghost hunter named Claire Cowell in 2016. And it's on with credit to Mercury Press and Media Limited. This is one of the photos which they believe solidifies that it is a Black Monk.
Is that a mirror? Is there a face in that mirror, or am I seeing a hand? What am I looking at?
So there's a hand in the circle.
Okay, yep.
And that hand is allegedly holding a rosary. That's what's kind of dangling down from the hand. I don't necessarily know if I see a face in the mirror. Oh.
See it?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's weird. And then finally, we have a video clip. This was recorded by Steve Archibald and his wife, Carrie, and they're the founders of Pitch Black Investigations, and it is credited to Mercury Press and Media. Now, this footage is very compelling as far as paranormal investigative footage goes. So we see a staircase at the top, right at the top of the stairs, we see a stroller. Now, watch what happens, and we'll talk through it. So the stroller just comes tumbling down the stairs, and then you see the door in the background open, and investigators come out to see what the hell happened. Now, I will say that if we go back,
That was weird. Did the ball come off first and then
no, the ball is
Oh,
in.
okay,
If you
I
see,
see
the
it.
ball is in the stroller. But the odd thing is, okay, yeah, they put it at the edge of the
Whoa.
stair.
But it looks like it's being pushed.
It does. It rolls a little before it goes over.
Yeah, no.
Look at that.
Something definitely pushed that forward.
And then the ball hits. Now, I think some people were like, oh, is that an orb right there? No, I think that's dust. Like the ball hit something because you see the camera wobbles. So you look the ball, boom, camera wobbles, and then it kicked up some dust. And then you see the lights in the doorway because those are the investigators trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
I mean, that's definitely paranormal activity.
I wouldn't know how to, unless that thing was balanced so precariously that someone opened up a door downstairs, it created a vacuum, and those wheels just rolled a scotch. I don't know, but
it looks like it was pushed to me.
Yes.
That's really what it looks like.
And that is the staircase the girl was drug up by her neck, and the grandfather clock was thrown down. So there's something about those stairs.
Okay, so a couple of ideas. Anytime activity occurs over and over in one location or one spot in a house, or people see an apparition walking back and forth in the same pattern, the same, and only in this one location, I would first want to see if I'm dealing with residual energy, right? Because to me, it's like, why would a spirit just walk back and forth in a hallway in the same spot for eternity? That doesn't make sense. It could be an imprint that's manifested into an image, right? Because this looks like it's been pushed, I don't know that that's the case, but I would want to go there and see what's underneath those stairs.
Yeah.
What really, even if we go down to the ground, like what is below these stairs?
Yeah.
Because that seems curious that like all of these things are happening right in that same spot.
Yeah. A lot of energy there.
I would want to go there and psychometrize the staircase. I would want to look under the staircase or try to see if what was on the land before the house was there. I think it's important to look at that as well. What year was the house built? What was there before?
Yeah. Very good point. Okay. So Bill Bungay, who owns the house, has documented 288 paranormal experiences, and they have been taken from accounts from visitors and investigators. So, and it is continuously updating. This isn't like something that has been dormant for a while. It's
right.
You can still go investigate this place, and if anyone happens to be in England in the area, like why not? Like I would go.
Absolutely. And it's not surprising that, documented cases keep coming to the surface, because when you have people going and kind of infusing the house with more energy and talking to the spirits and literally calling on them, you're going to have that activity is going to amp up.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I guess, my thoughts with this case is very much along what you've been saying. I do think that this place probably is haunted. If they're still having events occur there and have done for 40 years now, it can't just be one or two crazy people looking for attention. There has to be something to it. As you stated, there's such a rich history. There's documentation of deaths either on the property or very close to, as well as a site of a battle. I mean, it's got the makings of a pretty significant haunting. Is
it possible that a demonic entity could have been in the house at one point? Yes. But it's also possible that other entities or spirits, which I believe this is the case, are also there. So it's a revolving door, which is why you can't get rid of the activity. It's not going away. There's a portal there. There's the land. Sometimes you'll find in hauntings that people experience paranormal activity in the same exact spot over and over and over again. It's only in that spot, right? I don't always believe that that's, from an intelligent haunting. Sometimes it comes from residual energy. Maybe something happened in that particular spot. It makes the energy really charged in that space.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if you died, Jack, and you were a spirit, would you just sit on a staircase the whole time?
No.
Right. It doesn't make sense. And now, do I think that this is the case in this haunting? Not necessarily, because people were like in bedrooms and the doors locked behind them. So you have doors closing, you have things on the staircase happening. That's a lot of activity. But I just feel like there's more to the staircase than maybe we know. I would love to go investigate it.
Yeah. I believe that there is something going on here. It's not your run-of-the-mill Casper the Ghost, just go moving through walls. There's something significant about this location. All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. All our viewers and listeners, thank you so much. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, turn on your notifications so you know when we're dropping new episodes. This case is super compelling. I love that it's ongoing. It by no means has the dust settled with this. I would love to go investigate.
Yeah, I would too.
And I want to know, though, from the listeners and viewers, what do you think it is in the image? You think that's the Black Monk? Like, what are you seeing? Please leave your comments in the comment section, and maybe we'll dive into them in one of the next episodes. As far as our Patreon viewers and listeners go, stick around because we've got some extra content for you. As we say goodbye to the eerie tale of the Black Monk, let's not forget the lessons it left behind. The story of the Pritchard family is a wake-up call, reminding us just how fragile our grasp on reality can be. Let's take it slow as we venture into the unknown, because in the shadows, there are mysterious forces that are capable of untold terrors.
Join the family at osbornemediahouse.com.